Just days ago, the RCMP broke their silence, releasing a new update that has reignited both hope and heartbreak in the small community. Fresh search teams have been deployed. Evidence once tucked away in dusty case files is now back under the microscope. And a surge of new tips from the public has officers chasing leads they can't afford to ignore. The air is thick with tension. Streets once quiet now hum with whispered speculation. Families cling to the possibility of answers, while fearing the truths they might reveal. It was a single phone call, brief, urgent, and cryptic, that altered the course of the investigation. An anonymous voice claimed to know where the children were last seen. That tip set in motion an unplanned search in a remote wooded area, a place investigators had passed over before. No one knew it yet, but this would be the moment the case shifted. By late spring, the Sullivan case was fading from the headlines. Search grades had been exhausted, interviews yielded the same vague stories. The RCMP faced a painful truth. They had more questions than answers, and the community, once buzzing with volunteer search efforts, began to grow quiet, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavier with each passing day. The RCMP stood before cameras, urging the public to come forward, but with every plea came fresh waves of suspicion, as neighbors turned wary eyes toward each other. Some whispered about family conflicts, others pointed to strangers passing through. Rumors became currency, traded in hushed conversations and online forums. The truth, however, remained stubbornly out of reach. It was a cool autumn evening when Lilly and Jack Sullivan vanished. They were last seen playing in the yard outside their mother's home, a place that should have been safe. By nightfall, panic had spread, footsteps pounding across damp ground. The sound of names being called over and over echoed into the night, but no answer ever came.
And now we return to today, where investigators are once again knocking on doors, revisiting every statement, every photograph, every lead. The Sullivan case is no longer a closed chapter in this community's history. It is unfolding once more, and the truth may finally be closer than it has ever been. If you want to follow this investigation as it unfolds, make sure you subscribe, tap the notification bell, and stay with us as we dig deeper into every lead, every development, and every piece of evidence. This is far from over, and you won't want to miss what comes next. In the days since the announcement, the RCMP has thrown every available resource back into the Sullivan investigation. Hours upon hours of surveillance footage from gas stations, street cameras, and even private home security systems have been meticulously reviewed, frame by frame, searching for any flicker of movement that could place Lilly and Jack, or anyone connected to their disappearance, in a critical location. More than 40 community tips have been logged, each one investigated with a fresh set of eyes. Officers have retraced old paths, questioned familiar names, and followed up on whispers that had once been dismissed as rumor. Search areas have been widened beyond their original boundaries, into dense woodlands, overgrown fields, and along remote riverbanks that had never been a part of the initial sweep. Specialized teams, some equipped with drones and canine units, have been combing the terrain in shifts, leaving no ground untouched. These efforts signal something important. Investigators believe the key to this case lies in the details. Details that may have been overlooked, buried in hours of footage, hidden in the recesses of witness memories, or concealed in places no one thought to search. It's a shift in direction, a return to the roots of the investigation, but with sharper focus and a determination that feels different this time. Today, the investigation stands at a critical juncture. Public appeals are still active. The RCMP continues to urge anyone with information, no matter how small, to come forward. Their message is clear. Even the smallest detail could break this case open. Behind the scenes, investigators have zeroed in on a handful of key areas. They're focusing on early tips poured in, some pointing toward known trouble spots in the area, others suggesting sightings that led investigators miles away from the original search grid. Each lead was chased, each possibility explored, but the trail kept cooling before it could be followed to the end. Conflicting witness statements added to the frustration. Timelines didn't match. Descriptions varied. Some swore they saw Lilly and Jack together, others insisted they were apart. And through it all, physical evidence remained frustratingly scarce. No discarded clothing, no clear tracks, no definitive sign that could anchor the investigation in a single undeniable direction. It was during this period, when hope was beginning to fray, that the groundwork for the recent breakthrough was quietly being laid. Hours of unseen legwork, countless interviews, and the persistence of those who refused to give up would soon shift the trajectory of the case. It began as an ordinary morning in the small Nova Scotia community. The air was crisp, the streets still, and the gentle hum of everyday life was just beginning to stir. In the Sullivan household, Lilly and Jack were seen playing in the yard, a familiar, almost comforting sight to neighbors who had passed by countless times before. The timeline that followed would become the backbone of the investigation. Shortly after mid-morning, both children were spotted near the front gate. Less than an hour later, they were gone. At first, no one noticed. It was only when lunchtime came and their mother couldn't find them that the alarm was raised. Calls went out to neighbors, then to the RCMP. There were no signs of forced entry. No broken fences, no scattered belongings, no sounds of struggle had been heard. No shouts, no cries, just an eerie absence. When the first officers arrived, they found the scene almost untouched. Toys still hanging in the grass, the gate hung loosely but unbroken. To the untrained eye, it looked as though the children had simply wandered off. But to the investigators, it was a puzzle. 1 minute immediate action before the trail went cold. Word of the children's disappearance spread through the community with unsettling speed. By mid-afternoon, the quiet streets were alive with anxious voices and hurried footsteps. Neighbors gathered in small clusters, some offering to search, others simply standing in stunned silence, struggling to comprehend what had happened. For the family, the hours that followed were a blur of panic and disbelief. Every phone call, every knock at the door carried the desperate hope that someone had found Lilly and Jack. But as each hour passed, that hope began to feel